My name is Emily Parker, and for as long as I can remember, I've carried this deep longing to belong somewhere. I wasn't the kind of girl who wanted attention or gifts. All I ever wanted was a family that truly loved me. I'm in my 20s now, but my story goes back much further, back to childhood moments that should have been filled with laughter, hugs, and warmth, but instead were filled with silence, criticism, and the heavy weight of never being enough. I was the daughter who always tried too hard, the one who thought that if I just worked harder, smiled more, or kept quiet long enough, maybe I'd finally earn a place in the hearts of the people who were supposed to love me most. But instead, I grew up with the constant reminder that I didn't quite fit. And then one day, my parents confirmed it in the harshest way possible when they told me, "You're not even family." I always thought family was supposed to be the one place where you could feel safe, loved, and accepted no matter what. Friends come and go, jobs change, schools end, but family is supposed to be forever. At least, that's what I believed for most of my life. I believed it until the day my parents looked me in the eyes and said words that shattered me in ways I never thought possible. Those words didn't just hurt. They destroyed everything I thought I knew about love, belonging, and home. But that wasn't the end of the story. Because what I said after that changed everything. It ended one chapter of my life but opened another. And maybe, just maybe, it was the best thing that could have happened, even if it didn't feel like it at the time. Growing up, my childhood was complicated. I wasn't abused in the physical sense, but emotional wounds run deep, and sometimes they cut deeper than bruises ever could. I always felt like the outsider in my own home. My parents had 2 other children, my brother and my sister, and it seemed like they could do no wrong. Every little thing they did was praised. Straight A's, celebrated, sports trophies, displayed proudly in the living room. Even when they messed up, skipped school, talked back, or got into trouble, it was brushed off as kids being kids. But when it came to me, the rules were different. If I got an A, the question was, why not an A+? If I worked hard, they would find the flaw. If I made a mistake, it was magnified and held against me like proof that I wasn't good enough. I remember one specific Christmas when I was around 10. I had saved my pocket money for months to buy each of my siblings and my parents small gifts. Nothing fancy, just little things to show I cared. I wrapped them carefully with old newspaper since I couldn't afford wrapping paper. That morning, when we sat by the tree, I handed out my gifts shyly, hoping they would appreciate the effort. My brother barely looked at his before tossing it aside. My sister rolled her eyes and said, "That's it." And my parents, they didn't even say thank you. Instead, they told me I should have saved my money instead of wasting it on junk. That night, I went to bed crying quietly so no one would hear. That was the moment I started realizing that maybe I would never be enough for them. But no matter how much they ignored me, criticized me, or made me feel like the extra piece that didn't fit, I still tried. I still wanted their approval, their love, their acceptance. I thought if I worked hard enough, if I achieved enough, if I proved myself enough, maybe one day they'd look at me and say, "We're proud of you. We love you." That day never came. As I got older, the favoritism became even clearer. My brother was the golden child, always praised for being responsible, even when he barely lifted a finger. My sister was the princess, spoiled and adored, her mistakes brushed under the rug. And me, I became the scapegoat. Every family argument somehow ended with me being blamed. Every disappointment became my fault. Every failure was laid at my feet. If the house wasn't clean enough, it was my fault. If someone was in a bad mood, it was because of me. If something went wrong, they pointed at me. I started believing maybe they were right. Maybe there was something wrong with me. The breaking point came years later, after I had already moved out but was still trying to keep some kind of connection with them. I was invited to a family dinner, and I thought maybe this time it would be different. I brought dessert, dressed nicely, and told myself to just smile, keep the peace, and maybe the night would be okay. But of course, it wasn't. It never was. The conversation started out normal enough, but soon it turned into the usual comparisons. My sister was bragging about her new job, and my parents beamed with pride. My brother was talking about some new business venture, and again, they couldn't stop praising him. When it came to me, I mentioned something small, an accomplishment at work, hoping for at least a nod of acknowledgement. Instead, my mom sighed and said, "Why can't you be more like your siblings?" That sentence cut through me, but I had heard it so many times before that I swallowed it down and stayed quiet. Then, my dad said it. He looked at me with this cold expression and said, "You're not even family. You never were. You're just, there." Time froze. My fork slipped from my hand and clattered onto the plate, the sound ringing louder than anything else in the room. My heart pounded in my chest, and I felt the air leave my lungs. Not family. Not even family. After everything, after years of trying, after bending myself backwards just to earn a shred of their love, they looked at me and erased me with a single sentence. I could have cried. I could have broken down, but something inside me snapped in that moment. All the pain, all the years of being treated like I didn't belong, all the rejection, it turned into something else. Strength, defiance, clarity. I looked at them, really looked at them, and for the first time in my life, I saw them not as my parents, not as the people I had been desperate to please, but as strangers who had never truly cared for me. So I said one thing. Just one sentence. "Then this is the last time you'll ever see me." The room went silent. My sister gasped. My brother tried to laugh it off, like I was joking. But I wasn't. My voice was steady, stronger than I felt inside, but I meant every word. I stood up, grabbed my coat, and walked out. That was the last family dinner I ever attended. Walking away wasn't easy. The first few weeks were filled with doubt and guilt. What if I was wrong? What if I had overreacted? What if they really did love me but just didn't know how to show it? But then I reminded myself of the truth. Love isn't something you should have to beg for. Acceptance isn't something you should have to earn. Family doesn't make you feel like an outsider in your own home. And if they did, then maybe they weren't really family after all. I started building my own life after that. It wasn't easy, and there were nights when the loneliness felt unbearable. But slowly, things got better. I made friends who treated me like family, who celebrated my successes and supported me in my failures. I created a chosen family, people who actually cared about me for who I was, not who they wanted me to be. And for the first time in my life, I started to feel what real love and belonging actually meant. My parents tried to reach out a few times after that, mostly through guilt. They told me I was being dramatic, that I was too sensitive, that I was breaking the family apart. But I remembered their words. "You're not even family." And I realized something important. They were right. I wasn't family, not to them. Because family doesn't tear you down. Family doesn't dismiss your worth. Family doesn't treat you like a stranger in your own home. Family lifts you up. Family loves you without conditions. Now, when I look back, I don't feel anger as much as I feel freedom. Their rejection freed me from chasing something I was never going to get. It forced me to stop begging for love from people who refused to give it. It allowed me to create a new life, one where I was valued and respected. And that one sentence I said, "Then this is the last time you'll ever see me," ended everything, but it also began everything. It ended my desperate need for their approval. It ended the years of pain and rejection. But it began my journey towards self-worth, independence, and real love. I still think about them sometimes. I wonder if they regret what they said. I wonder if they sit around the table and notice the empty chair where I used to be. I wonder if they miss me, or if they still tell themselves that I was the problem. But the truth is, it doesn't matter anymore. Because I don't need their answers. I don't need their validation. I don't need them. The family I lost wasn't really a family. But the family I built afterward, the friends who became siblings, the mentors who became parents, the people who chose me and stood by me, that's my real family. And maybe, in the end, that's what matters most. So yes, my parents told me I wasn't family. And I believed them. But instead of destroying me, it set me free. Because sometimes, the hardest endings lead to the most beautiful beginnings.